Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Monday, December 18th, 2023's City of Somerville Condo Review Board meeting. Give me one second. Just an item of note before we start the meeting. We are having some technical difficulties and it will be audio only this evening. So if you can just bear with us, unfortunately, we're not able to provide video this evening. So with that said, pursuant to Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, this meeting of the Condo Review Board will be conducted via remote participation. We will post an audio recording, audio-video recording, except for this evening, transcript, or other comprehensive record of these proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting of the City of on the City of Somerville's website and local cable access government channels. So on that note, I would like to call this evening's meeting to order, dated December 18th. The first item on this evening's agenda are some administrative items. We have an approval of the revised October meeting minutes. Fellow board members, if you had a chance to review those, are there any edits or additions you'd like to add or comment on?
None for me. I was able to review it.
Thank you. Board member Simeon?
None for me.
Thank you. With no
Excuse
edit?
me if you see me on twice, because it's like my my iPad doesn't work. That's the reason I come up like twice.
Okay.
Okay.
It's the last meeting of the year, so of course we wouldn't be able to get through it without technical difficulties. Everyone, I think, can appreciate, you know, the end of the year madness. So on that note, with no edits or changes to the October meeting minutes, I will now make a motion for the board to approve those meeting minutes to the record. City staff, if we can please conduct a roll call vote for approval.
So this is a roll call vote to approve the revised October meeting minutes. Chair Zaslav?
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne?
Oops, sorry. Yes.
Board Member Simeon?
Yes.
With 3, we have quorum and the motion passes.
Great, thank you. Moving along through the agenda, we have new business in front of the board this evening, and that is the first application is a non-rental conversion permit, and it's the application of 421 Medford Street LLC, seeking to amend a preliminary non-rental permit for Unit 1 in reference to the official address change to 25 Tennyson Street, Somerville. We can have the representative please state their name for the record and speak to the application from the board this evening.
Mr. Giuliano, your
Yes,
Attorney
just sign
Giuliano.
on. Thank you. For the record, Attorney James Giuliano on behalf of 421 Medford Street LLC. Hope everyone's doing okay tonight. So this first application is for to amend the preliminary non-rental permit for Unit 1. At the time was approved in May 22nd of 2003. So this application is to amend that conversion permit just to change the address. Once the project was completed, the address will now be, instead of 421 Unit 1, it will now be 25 Tennyson Street, Somerville, where frontage and the front door will be located. So we're just proposing to change that. That's the only amendment. There were 2 additional documents that were contingent upon issuing the conversion permit. The master deed and the report of condition of property. We should have those in hand hopefully by January. The master deed in Condo docs should be done probably right after the holiday, and the condition of the property shortly thereafter. So I just wanted to give an update on those 2 conditions as well.
Thank you very much, Attorney, for that description. At this time, I will now open the floor for the board. If there's any questions or further discussion for the representative for 421 Medford Street LLC, formerly known as 421 Medford Street, but is looking for an amendment to change the address from 421 to 25 Tennyson.
I have no questions.
No questions.
All right. Seeing there are no questions, we will close the floor for discussion amongst the board. I will now open the public commenting period. If anyone in the virtual audience would like to speak in favor or against this amendment this evening, now is the time to do so. Seeing there's no public comments, public commentary has now been closed. Seeing that this is more or less a clerical error or clerical correction with the address. They've already been in front of the board previously and received their preliminary non-rental conversion permit on the condition that the two outstanding issues are provided to the city staff at a future date. I would like to make a motion for the board to vote on the amendment to the address change from 421 Medford Street to 25 Tennyson Street. City staff, if we can please conduct a roll call vote.
Okay, this is a roll call vote to approve the address change for Unit 1, which formerly was recorded as 421 Medford Street. The change would be made to 25 Tennyson Street. Chair Zaslav,
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon.
Yes.
Okay, with 3, the motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Moving along through the agenda this evening, we have the next item in front of the board, which is 421 Medford Street. It's the application of 421 Medford Street LLC, and they're seeking a courtesy permit for Unit 2 at 421 Medford Street.
So again, Mr. Chairman, Attorney James Juliano on behalf of the applicant 421 Medford Street LLC. So going back to our last conversation on the last application. So this one is a courtesy permit. As you may be aware, back in May of 22, the existing property was renovated and a new addition, which is now going to be the subject of this courtesy conversion application. It was built. Obviously, it's brand new. There is no tenants or anyone living in the property prior to. So the only thing I would just like to clarify is this is going to be 421 Medford Street. And again, this is unit number 421 Medford Street, going back to the previous amendment.
Yes, thank you. At this time, I will open the floor for discussion amongst the board. Any comments or questions for the representative in regards to 421 Medford Street and the final courtesy permit that they are seeking this evening?
I have no questions.
No questions.
I have one question for the attorney. You've yet to submit the master deed and architect's report, or?
Correct. We've yet to supply the master deed, and I believe it's just the final inspection, the conditional report, the condition report for the property. Those are the only two outstanding items.
Okay, I needed clarification because this will
Yep.
be in a conditional vote on those two items being submitted.
Correct, yes.
Great, thank you. Seeing no further discussion amongst the board, the floor is now closed, and we will move to open the floor for the public. If anyone in the virtual audience would like to speak in favor or against the application in front of the board this evening, located at 421 Medford Street for Unit 2, now would be the time to do so. Seeing there's no public commentary, the public comments are closed. In reviewing the application, the applicant is seeking a final courtesy permit for 421 Medford Street, Unit 2, on the condition that the master deed and engineer's report is submitted at a future date to the city staff. City staff, if we can conduct a roll call vote, please.
Yes, this is a roll call vote to approve the courtesy permit for Unit 2 at 421 Medford Street on the condition that the owner / developer will supply a master deed and condition report at a later date. Chair Zaslav,
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon.
Yes.
With 3, the motion passes.
Great, thank you. All right, final item on this evening's agenda is the application of 7-9-11 Aldersea Street. And they are seeking final permits for units 1, 2, and 3 located at 7-9-11 Aldersea. Do we have a representative for this property this evening?
Yes, Attorney Rowland, you're unmuted.
Good evening. My name is Brianna Rowland. I am an attorney with the law offices of Richard D. DiGirolamo. I represent the property owner 9-11 Aldersea Street LLC. Presented before you this evening has been submitted a master deed, a structural engineer's report, and the matters regarding the tenant relocation payments were previously submitted and addressed in a prior hearing last year.
Yes,
As
thank you.
such, we are requesting a final permit for units 1, 2, and 3.
Great, thank you. At this time, I will make a motion to open the floor for board discussion. If any board members have any comments or questions for the representative regarding 9-11 Aldersea Street.
I was just a little confused. There was a lot of back and forth about the tenants and the payments, and so I just wanted to double check and make sure that those had gone through.
Can city staff verify?
I cannot verify whether there were checks that were written out to the tenants because I did not see any copies of them. I did see correspondence back and forth with Ilan Sassoon and asking, to whom do I, address the check? And then I did receive a confirmation. Well, I didn't receive a confirmation. I saw a confirmation from 2 of the former tenants that they did receive checks, relocation checks.
Recording in progress.
So can you state the last part one more time? You
Yes.
did see confirmation from 2 of the 4 that they did receive checks?
I did see 2 confirmations from 2 of the 4, yes.
Apologies for joining late, just saying hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jen.
If we can please go back on mute, thank you. I guess the one follow-up question I have for the attorney is, why was there not an effort to provide the clarification to the city staff that the checks were actually received to all 4 tenants?
I was in the impression they were already received as there was a hearing prior on compliance on this issue last year. And I was under the impression everything was already submitted.
Okay.
This is the first I've heard that there were items missing. If you can tell me which 2 you're missing emails from, and I can see what I have in my file I can send over to you.
Okay, I can also check with Morena Zelaya, who was back from leave, to see if that information is stored elsewhere, but I did not see it in any of the files that I consulted for this property. But I can reach out to you, Attorney Rowland, with the names of the other 2.
There were 6 tenants, right?
Okay,
There were 6 tenants. 2 of them were a couple.
okay. I will go back in and look at the tenants' names and we'll send you that information.
Vice Chair Byrne, do you have follow-up questions for the representative in regards to this matter?
No.
Okay.
For
Well, I will-
clarification, so would this be a conditional vote on pending receipt of that information, or does this need to go to another hearing?
No, I think we could vote on a final permit this evening on the condition that you provide proof that all 6 tenants received payment.
Okay.
Within 30 days. I mean, personally, I think I'm okay with that. I would defer to my fellow board members on whether that proposed method of voting this evening would be adequate for them. I don't want to speak for them. So I would open the discussion to the board on if they were they would feel comfortable with a vote for a final permit on the condition that all tenants provide proof that they've received the relocation payment.
So what would happen if either not all the tenant, we give them final permit under those conditions, but then it turns out that not all the tenants got payment, or that the documents don't come in 30 days? What's the consequence for that? What does that mean?
Those are valid questions, and I would defer to city staff. I mean, you know, I think those are valid points, and I would potentially agree with you that maybe this is an application that gets tabled until the next meeting where that can be provided.
I think so, because if we don't receive all information from the others, and we cannot right now validate or pretend that they will receive it or not until they, you know, they confirm that it is something we can move on.
Agreed.
Attorney Rowland?
Yes, I would like to interject. Would it be possible to have it conditioned that if it's not received within 10 days, then it's automatically tabled? Because that way, as stated before, there is a units under agreement. And so my client is motivated to get this information to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, so Attorney Rowland, just quickly, like, technically, you shouldn't, I mean, you probably should walk that last statement back, because technically, without the final permitting, you shouldn't even have gone to market with the units, so.
Under the ordinance, once you have the preliminary, you can market, but you cannot go to record, but you cannot close.
I think you need to review that again. I think that's an accurate statement.
Well, then I retract my statement.
So technically, you're not able to market the units until you receive the final permit from the city or this board verbally.
I'll look at the the permit, not the permit, the ordinance again.
Yeah, please do so. But at this time, you know, from hearing what others on the board think, and again, I agree with them. I think at this time, it's in the best interest of the applicant to for us to table this application until all further items are provided to the city staff for review and
again, I am requesting that possibility of having a limit of 10 days. So basically my client has 10 days to provide this information. If it's not, then it's automatically, the permit's not good. And it's all, or you don't even issue the permit. So the permit doesn't even get issued unless it's provided within 10 days. And then it's tabled to the next meeting.
But what's driving that 10-day window is an agreement that is not in the scope, within the scope of the ordinance. Right, so, you know, while it's unfortunate, you know, I'm just not comfortable. If we bring it to vote this evening, it's not going to pass, so the only other option would be to table it until you can provide proof that all the tenants receive payment. And in all honesty, I mean, Mr. Sassoon has developed enough properties in the city of Somerville that he should know the ordinance in and out, and should be ensuring that his attorneys and representatives are providing all the due documents prior to coming to the hearing.
I am looking through what I have right now. If I can get the names, I can maybe get you proof shortly.
City staff, do you have the names? I mean, we've got approximately a few minutes left to this meeting. You know, if you can provide her names, and we'll give her till you know, 6:30 approximately, and then at that point, we'll move on.
Chair Zaslav, forgive me, are you asking if that's okay?
I mean, at this point, I mean, I'm reconsidering, as it is the responsibility of the applicant and the representatives to come to the hearing, with the correct information prepared, to present to the board. So, with it being, a lead up to, the holidays, I'm less inclined to, you know, provide additional time that we sit here and wait for a representative to dig up information that they should have, arrived at the meeting prepared to present. Again, I'll open the discussion to the board, to gauge, their interest in extending this meeting. So Vice Chair Byrne,
My preference would be to table this.
thank you. Board member Simeon, board member Solis.
I agree to table that one also.
I agree as well. I'd like to table it.
Thank you. I think we have a consensus. So I'll give one last opportunity to Attorney Rowland to address the board, and I think then we're going to move on with a vote to table.
I would like to be able to address this at the moment, but without knowing who's missing, I can't do a search through what I was CC'd on.
Yeah, well, I understand the hurdle you have in front of you. It's your responsibility, not ours, to present all of the information for the hearing. So, you know, coming unprepared to the hearing is a burden on yourself and your client, and not necessarily this board.
Excuse me, Chair Zaslav, I just opened up a document that might be able to assist. There are 6 names. So if with your permission, I can provide those.
Sure.
Okay, Attorney Rowland?
Yes.
You have a pen and a piece of paper ready?
Yes.
So the first name is Daniel Venskis, Venskus. Second name, Darren, Derren. Last name Perocci, Perrocchi. Third name is Eliza, it's Elisa. Last name is Guzman, Guzman. Fourth name is Mike, Mike, Pelletier, Pelletier. And fifth name is Rachel, Rachel. Last name Dushman, Dushman. And last name is Veronica, Veronica. Last name Keddy, Keddy. We do have confirmation that Eliza and Rachel received their checks. It is the other 4 that I don't have confirmation.
All right.
While Attorney Rowland researches that, I will grant the floor to Vice Chair Byrne.
The other thing that I noted in the issue with the tenants was that there were at least 2 of the tenants that said that they would be interested in purchasing. And I don't see anything in relationship to that. So that was another piece of it.
I have their waivers. Were they not received?
I see hearing notices. I don't see any waivers.
Those I have right here. I can send over to you.
Okay, at this point, it feels like this application's not fully vetted and prepared for a vote for the board. I will grant the floor to board member Solis. I see she has her hand up.
Thank you. Apologies if this was discussed, as I know I came in late, but for the two tenants who Cecilia reported that we have confirmation on payments, I did notice I saw confirmation on partial payment for Eliza. So I just want to make sure that the confirmations we get are for the full, not just the 3,000. But again, this might already have been covered. Thank you.
All right, so I think at this time, it's clear that there's some missing pieces to this application that the attorney and her client need to button up prior to coming back in front of the board. So, I will defer to the attorney one last time. We can, bring it to vote. But I think, as you can tell from the line of questioning, that it will not be a favorable outcome. I think the best opportunity for your client at this time is to support tabling this application this evening until you can provide the documented proof that all tenants were paid in full.
All right, I've been searching through here. And again, there's no chance of this having with a 10-day or just a delay of actually issuing the permit.
I mean, I'll take a around the room sort of gauge from the board. It's an honest question by the representative, so I will start with Vice Chair Byrne. Any appetite for a conditional approval with a 10-day window where it's null and void? I guess my question to Attorney Rowland is, if you're unable to provide that documentation in 10 days, what prevents you from closing on the property, which technically shouldn't even have a PNS?
Well, we can't close. We can't close without it. We don't have to clear title. We won't be able to close without it.
Yeah. So, on that note, Vice Chair Byrne?
No.
Board Member Simeon?
No.
Board Member Solis? Yeah, I think unfortunately, Attorney
We're gonna have
Rowland,
to table.
that we're gonna need to table this application. And with all due respect to Mr. Sassoon, he's developed a wide swath of properties in Somerville, and typically his properties come in front of the board with everything in standing and order. This is actually the first time in many applications of his that have come before the board where everything was not in order. So I'm not sure why that is. But at this time, I think it's clear that the board is not in favor of putting this to vote this evening, and the best interest of yourself and the client is for us to table this application to the next meeting and allow you to come back in front of the board with the full application completed and proof that the tenants that were relocated have been paid in full. So,
Okay.
City staff, on that note, I will now make a motion to table the application of 9-11 Aldersea Street for units 1, 2, and 3 located at 7-9-11 Aldersea. Table into the next meeting where they can provide full application, full documentation for the outstanding items, which are proof that all tenants were paid in full.
So this is a vote to table the application for 7-911 Aldersley Street. On the condition to next month. On the condition that they supply additional documentation, which includes payment for all 6 former tenants. Chair Zaslav,
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne,
Yes,
Board Member Simeon,
Yes,
Board Member Zolas.
Yes.
With 4, the motion is passed.
Thank you. See you next month.
Thank you.
All right, on that note, brings us to the end of our agenda. So I'd like to just wish all board members, city staff, attorneys on the call, developers, applicants, happy holidays. And, motion to adjourn. Can we get a second?
I second it.
All right,
Second.
everyone have a safe and happy holiday.
Yeah, I
thank
second
you
that
to
too.
you all.
Stay safe,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
See
Thank
you in the
you.
new year.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
And,
See ya.
Zach, curveball.
I know, total curveball.
Oh, well. Thank you all. Good night.